Good morning and welcome to today's Legislative Budget and Finance Committee meeting. We are meeting both in person and remotely, and if you are attending remotely, please remember to unmute yourself to speak and then mute yourself after talking to reduce background noise. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and the recording will be posted on the LBFC website. To establish a quorum, Mr. Latta, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Coleman,
Proxy.
Senator Dush,
Proxy.
Senator Haywood,
Proxy.
Senator Phillips-Hill,
Here.
Senator Piscitano,
Proxy.
Senator Tartaglione,
Here.
Representative Conklin,
Here.
Representative Rader, Representative Samuelson,
Here.
Representative Sanchez,
Here.
Representative Schwerin,
Here.
Representative Twardzik.
Here. Morning.
Good morning. We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you very much. A proxy or a quorum having been established, we are releasing one report today entitled "A Study Pursuant to Senate Resolution 169 of 2023, Workforce Development Programs." Ms. Ann Wakonis served as our project manager for this report and will be giving the presentation. Ms. Wakonis, you may begin when you are ready.
Good morning. Good morning and thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am pleased to be here to discuss the results of our study, which was conducted in response to Senate Resolution 2023-169, which directed the LBFC to determine the effectiveness and efficiency of Pennsylvania's workforce development programs. Pennsylvania offers workforce development programs and services through multiple state agencies. This report focuses mainly on training and skills development programming in the Departments of Labor and Industry, or L&I, Education, PDE, Community and Economic Development, DCED, and Human Services. In addition, we reviewed workforce development activities in the Departments of Corrections, Aging, and Conservation and Natural Resources. Generally, workforce development programming, especially in L&I and DHS, is targeted toward those with barriers to employment. Much of L&I's workforce development programming is funded through the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA, with Title I addressing adults, dislocated workers, and youth, Title III serving job seekers through Pennsylvania Career Link offices, and Title IV offering vocational rehabilitation services to those with disabilities. Pennsylvania uses federally required performance indicators to evaluate its WIOA programs, including employment rates in the second and fourth quarters, median earnings, credential attainment, and measurable skill gain. Goals for each indicator are negotiated with the U.S. Department of Labor. For all performance indicators during the scope of our study, we found that Title I programming met 84% of its negotiated goals, but fell short of statewide and national employment earnings figures. Nationally, during fiscal year 22-23, on average, Pennsylvania ranked 27th, 21st, and 27th for adult dislocated worker and youth programming, respectively. Although Title III does not directly provide training and skill development, we included it because it is the gateway to training opportunities under WIOA. For all performance indicators during the scope of our study, we found that Title III programming met 73% of its negotiated goals. Nationally, during FY 22-23, on average, Pennsylvania ranked 28th. Only 2 years of data were available for Title IV programming, and a complete analysis would require additional years of data. However, within the 2 years of data available to us, 70% of performance indicators were met. Determining the cost efficiency of WIOA programs is complex due to the nature of program eligibility within the workforce development system. Individuals may simultaneously qualify for multiple WIOA programs, meaning they could be served from various funding streams, which complicates accurately assessing the overall cost efficiency of WIOA programs. For most programs included in this report, we calculated a cost per outcome metric, by dividing a program's funding allocation by the number of individuals who achieved a specific outcome. Importantly, while cost per outcome helps determine program cost efficiency, it does not fully capture the actual cost of generating an additional successful outcome. Instead, our metric provides an analysis of the relationship between a program's funding and its performance outcomes, which provides an understanding of the cost efficiency trend over time. Title I adult programming has generally exhibited increased cost efficiency since FY 21-22. Dislocated worker programming has demonstrated increased cost efficiency, especially from fiscal year 22-23 to 23-24. Youth programming was mixed during the scope of our study, and Title III cost efficiency generally declined. L&I also administers apprenticeship programming, which combines paid on-the-job training with skills-based education. Over the scope of our study, about 13,500 individuals completed apprenticeships under 876 sponsors in various employment sectors, including healthcare, technology, manufacturing, and hospitality. Cost per completer averaged $2,901 over the scope of this report. Although pre-apprenticeship data is unavailable, pre-apprenticeship programs grew from 58 in FY 19-20 to 115 in fiscal year 23-24. 3 of the 4 recommendations for L&I advise the department to develop additional performance indicators to better evaluate WIOA programming. We also recommend that the Apprenticeship Training Office focuses on increasing apprenticeships in sectors other than manufacturing and building trades. Within the Department of Education, we focused on Career and Technical Education, or CTE, which combines academics with technical and practical skills. Pennsylvania has 88 career and technical centers and 142 high schools that provide CTE. We reviewed 2 performance indicators to evaluate CTE: gainful placement, with data collected only through a PDE-administered survey, and industry credential attainment. We found that industry credential attainments increased each year by 75.6% from FY 18-19 to 22-23, and gainful placements increased by 18.6% in the same period. We intended to include non-credit programming in our report, but PDE informed us there is no standardized data collection. As a result, we recommend that PDE collect reliable performance data for all CTE programming funded with the Secondary Career and Technical Education Subsidy to track participants' employment status and income post-program completion. The goal of DHS's workforce development programming is to assist adult temporary assistance for needy families and supplemental nutrition assistance program, or TANF and SNAP recipients, in finding and maintaining employment that allows them to be independent of public assistance. DHS uses internally developed performance indicators to evaluate its workforce development programming, which include secondary equivalent and credentialing, job placement, the number of individuals employed upon program exit, and job retention. TANF recipients are eligible for the Employment Advancement and Retention Network Program, or EARN, which offers case management, education opportunities, skills training, and job placement assistance. Overall, the EARN program demonstrated increased cost efficiency over the scope of our analysis, with cost per outcome decreasing by an average of 60.1%. Across the 4 performance indicators, the EARN program reached 31.3% of its benchmarks from fiscal year 2021 to 23-24. The SNAP EARN program serves eligible SNAP recipients who participate voluntarily in a workforce development program and offers the same programming as the EARN program. Overall, SNAP EARN program demonstrated increased cost efficiency over the scope of our analysis, with cost per outcome decreasing an average of 69%. The program met 50% of its performance benchmarks from fiscal years 2021 to 23-24. SNAP JETS, formerly known as the SNAP 50/50 program, connects eligible individuals receiving SNAP benefits to workforce development activities in various industries and sectors. Overall, the SNAP JETS program demonstrated increased cost efficiency over the scope of our analysis, with cost per outcome decreasing by an average of 66.2%. Across its 3 performance indicators, the SNAP JETS program reached 58.3% of the DH performance indicator goals. The Work Ready program provides workforce development services to adult extended TANF recipients, who are those who have received more than 60 months of TANF benefits. Overall, the program demonstrated increased cost efficiency, with cost per outcome decreasing by an average of 80.8% over the scope of our analysis. Across the 4 performance benchmarks, the Work Ready program reached 31.3% of its benchmarks. We recommend that DHS develops a performance indicator that compares the earnings of individuals before entering workforce development programs to their earnings post-program, and that DHS collects program participant retention within 3, 6, and 12-month periods for all of its workforce development programs. Workforce development at DCED is business-focused to ensure Pennsylvania's businesses remain competitive. WedNet PA is a grant program that provides training funds for incumbent employees promoting job retention. We found that during the scope of our study, the program trained an average of 22,695 employees in 700 companies per year. The cost per employee increased from $267 in FY 1920 to $436 in FY 23-24. We recommend that DCED collect and track annual WedNet job retention and wage increases for participants and monitor company retention in Pennsylvania 1, 2, and 3 years post-funding. The Manufacturing PA Training to Career Grant program helps companies train a skilled workforce for manufacturing roles. Currently, DCED does not monitor employment outcomes after completion. We recommend requiring grant recipients to conduct a follow-up study 1 year later to check if participants are employed in related fields. The final program, Foundation in Industry Training Grant Program, supports registered apprenticeship programs and was launched in 23-24. As it is new, no data is available to assess its effectiveness as yet. In conclusion, we thank the staff of the Departments of Labor and Industry, Education, Human Services, and Community and Economic Development for their assistance in completing this report. Finally, I would also like to thank the staff analysts who worked on this project, including James Wynn and Josh Ballard. At this time, I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Witkonis. Members, questions? Representative Rader, followed by Representative Samuelson.
I thank you for a report, very detailed. I understood a little bit of it. But it sounded to me like more money necessarily wouldn't be needed to improve the outcome in some of these areas. You need more information, more study to guarantee a better outcome.
I think so, because many of the recommendations are geared towards gathering more data to evaluate them better. And as far as L&I, the L&I programming goes, with Title I, Title III, and Title IV, all of those indicators are negotiated every year with the U.S. Department of Labor. So I think some internal indicators would be indicated to maybe give us a better idea.
Representative Samuelson, followed by Senator Tartaglione.
Thank you, and I appreciate your comprehensive report across several state departments. You said the Department of Human Services might be a good idea for them to have a tool to evaluate earnings before and after the programs. Is there such a similar tool in the federal requirements that are already being met?
The federal requirements look at median income, I believe, second quarter after employment. So in future, beginning in October, DHS has to report those WIOA required indicators for its EARN programs for TANF recipients. So we would simply like to see similar indicators for all programs.
Okay, thank you. Apprenticeships under the Department of Labor and Industry, it looks like they doubled over a 5-year period from about 58 to 115. Any indication why we're being so successful with more apprenticeships?
Is that pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeship?
I looked like you were, I'm sorry, pre-apprenticeship, you're pre-apprenticeship.
Well, I think the pre-apprenticeships are relatively new, so they are growing. There are a lot of grants out there for apprenticeships, and within departments, there's some apprenticeship programming in DCED, there's a lot of apprenticeship programming in L&I, and all of these departments are trying to coordinate to increase these opportunities, to coordinate and make transitions from pre-apprenticeship programs to apprenticeship programs seamless.
Okay. And my last question, looks like all of the state departments that you evaluated, Labor and Industry, Education, DCED, and DHS are working with the federal government, and a lot of this is federally funded.
WIOA for certain, yes.
Okay.
There's,
I was just trying to check if there's any kind of uncertainty with WIOA funding. I saw Congress did not reauthorize it when they did a stopgap funding bill in December, but I don't think there's any long-term changes in WIOA proposed at this point. I know that's beyond the scope of your study. Is there any threats to the WIOA funding from Washington?
I do not know the answer to that question, but we could look into it for you.
Okay. Because obviously the funding has been very helpful, and the workforce training programs, workforce development programs are throughout our state government, so that would be something for all of us to keep an eye on. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Tartaglione.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Recently, in the Senate L&I Committee, we unanimously passed legislation that would require the department to share workforce development data with local workforce development boards. Did you get a sense from the report whether this type of data sharing would move the needle in terms of the effectiveness of our workforce development initiatives?
We did not look at that particular aspect. I know the negotiated goals between first L&I negotiates the goals with the U.S. Department of Labor, and after which our L&I negotiates the goals, which each local workforce development board. So I am unaware of that bill, but I'm not quite sure what other data would be shared.
Okay. That's the only question I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any further questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion to release the report?
Make a motion.
Moved by Senator Tartaglione, seconded by Representative Sheeran. Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, the motion carries and the report is released to the public. That concludes our agenda for today's meeting. Thank you all for attending. There will be an officers' meeting to begin immediately after this meeting, and the Legislative Budget and Finance Committee meeting is recessed to the call of the chair.